Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Oh, I can't say that I believe in Bigfoot, but I also can't say that I don't. I think it's interesting. I'm curious, and I'd like to learn more.
Man smoke blinds the eagle's eye, and things that crawl or swim or fly, feed and breed and live and die.
Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Do I believe in Bigfoot? I like to believe in Bigfoot because I've heard a lot of stories, and I've seen, like pictures of tracks of folks think is Bigfoot. So I like to believe, but I'd like to see Bigfoot before I say I really believe that there is a Bigfoot. So sometime when you want to go look for Bigfoot, let's do a Bigfoot exploration, and then we'll find out.
Go.
I don't believe in Bigfoot unless I see Bigfoot. The only proof of Bigfoot is that I see Bigfoot with my own eyes. So you better show me Bigfoot, or sorry, that won't happen. So I have one thing to say to you: prove it.
Perhaps he dimly wonders why. Is there no other such as I?
So do you guys believe in Bigfoot?
I like to believe in Bigfoot, yes.
I don't want to meet him. Don't mind watching him on telly, but he's... Yeah.
I like to think that he's real. Same as I like to believe that Loch Ness is real, I think people need that in life, the bit of excitement.
As shown in the interviews, not everyone believes in Sasquatch. That's why the team and I created this documentary to inform the world about Bigfoot. There have been many sightings of Sasquatch, better known as Bigfoot, in the past decades, in folklore dating back to the time of the Native Americans. However, not everyone believes in Bigfoot. In fact, only about 11% of adults in the US believe in Bigfoot. Hairy ape men running around the forest may be hard to believe, but there is evidence that Bigfoot's real. Many have claimed to see the Bigfoot, heard the sounds, or saw the Bigfoot itself. So, is Bigfoot just an elaborate hoax, or could there be real ape-like creatures roaming the forests of the world? Join us to find out in Sasquatch Unlocked.
To start off, what exactly is Bigfoot? Eyewitnesses describe Bigfoot as being a tall, hairy, wild ape that walks upright like a man. They have long limbs and, as the name suggests, abnormally large feet. Some people think that Bigfoot are just less evolved humans and that they are more intelligent than most primates. Bigfoot are most often spotted at night. Their fur color ranges from black to brown to gray to sometimes a reddish tone, coyote color. They have a very wide color diversity. So why, you may ask, do people still believe in Bigfoot when it could just be a person in an ape costume? Stay tuned to find out.
Bigfoot has been spotted all over the world. These sightings are some of the most convincing evidence that we have. Some of the most famous sightings that we have captured on film are the Patterson-Gimlin film and the Memorial Day film. Scientists have studied these films, and there's still debate as to whether the creatures in the film are real or not. However, there's some convincing evidence that the creatures in these films are the real Bigfoot. In the Patterson-Gimlin film, you can see the outline of many muscles that you wouldn't see if it were a costume. Notice the arm muscles, part of the spine, and even the shoulder blades moving. Bigfoot costumes in the store likely do not highlight detailed muscle tone. In the Memorial Day film, the creature moving across the hills is moving very quickly, and when scientists studied the film, they realized that the creature grows about 8 inches near the end. One theory to explain this is that a younger Bigfoot is climbing up higher on the older Bigfoot. This behavior is also what other ape species do that carry their young on their back, like gorillas, orangutans, and chimpanzees do. There have been many other sightings of Bigfoot. Some have been proven wrong, but some are still being studied.
The places that have had the most Bigfoot sightings are Washington, California, Michigan, Canada, and more. Washington is the best place to see Bigfoot because there have been over 700 Bigfoot sightings there, because there are a lot of lakes, rivers, and a bunch of forests and greens to help sustain life for Bigfoot.
There are about 4,000 to 6,000 of them living in North America. But only about 1% of the sightings, good sightings, have been reported. So you gotta remember, there's like a lot of Bigfoots potentially roaming around all this North American land, potentially in places up north, south, and east and west.
Sasquatch footprints are very large. That's why they're nicknamed Bigfoot. Bigfoot footprints are approximately 18 inches at average. The average human footprint is only 10 inches. Couldn't these footprints be fake? Not all of them are. Certain details were discovered when scientists created plaster casts of the footprints that were very hard to recreate. Scientists found that Bigfoot footprints and ape footprints have a shared quality. They both have an arch in their footprints, which is caused by the Bigfoot bending its foot mid-step. This foot positioning makes it much easier to traverse steep terrain. It would be almost impossible for all these prints to have the same shared quality and be fake. This is real evidence that we need to prove that Bigfoots are real and wandering the forests of the world.
Bigfoot's diet has not been confirmed, but from what we can tell, Bigfoots eat mostly berries, nuts, greens, and meats. When winter comes around, the Bigfoot eats mostly meats. Well, what the Bigfoot eats really depends on where it lives and what time of the year it is.
Around the world, Bigfoot is known by many names. Like in Australia, Bigfoot is known as Yowie. It stands 10 to 12 feet tall and has varieties in reddish and brown fur. And compared to the North American Bigfoot standing at around 7 to 9 feet tall and having blackish or brown fur. Or the Yeti of Nepal, which has been described as having gray or brown fur and is 4 to 6 feet tall, which is quite short in the Bigfoot world. Or the orang pendek of Indonesia, standing at 4 to 8 feet tall and having reddish to gray fur. And the Vietnamese wild man, standing 5 to 8 feet tall with reddish and black fur. Or the Sasquatch, which is like Bigfoot and stands a little bit taller than Bigfoot, but has black fur and is taller. There are also a bunch of other names even within the USA, depending on where you live. In the South, you might refer to Bigfoot as the skunk ape or skookum, and in one town in Ohio, you might refer to Bigfoot as the grass man. In some parts of Arkansas, you might refer to it as the Fouke monster, and you also have the more lesser-known South American version of Bigfoot called the Marikaki, which stands at 5 to 8 feet tall and has brownish fur. There's a much lesser-known reported sighting in Japan of a Bigfoot called the Hibigan, which stands at 4 to 8 feet tall in varieties in color. Bigfoot being a worldwide phenomenon just proves more that Bigfoot is a real creature.
To most, Bigfoot is a living, breathing animal, flesh and blood, but there are many other sides to this story. The first and the most common perspective of Bigfoot is a hairy wild man of the woods, like a North American ape. The second is the Native American spirit animal. The Native Americans viewed Bigfoot in a very spiritual and important way. The fourth version of Bigfoot is the interdimensional, super smart, time-traveling being. Evidence for this theory are tracks that stop without a trace and eyewitness testimony. It's often connected to Bigfoot as an alien. The last version of Bigfoot is the religious Bigfoot. When they talk about giants in the Bible and David and Goliath, some people think that's where Bigfoot came from.
Bigfoots communicate with other Bigfoots in the wild, but what sounds do they make? We hypothesize that, like other primates, Bigfoots communicate by making screams, grunts, roars, wood knocks, and rock clacks. Some recordings even suggest that Bigfoots have a language of their own, just a less developed one.
Bigfoot stick structures are tall towers made by a Bigfoot. They can range from 4 to 8 feet tall. Another sign of Bigfoot is called rock stacks. Rock stacks are a series of rocks placed in a towering form. But nature couldn't have done this by itself. And there's a lot more types of Bigfoot stick structures, like the type where a tree branch is pushed down by another tree branch. The TP-like structures are the most common type.
Of the many things that went into filming this documentary, attending Small Town Monster's very own Monster Fest in Canton, Ohio was quite the experience. We got to talk to Bigfoot researchers, filmmakers, skeptics, and eyewitnesses alike. And all in all, we had an amazing time. We saw Small Town Monster's premiere of Land of the Missing, which was a great film, showed the darker side to the Bigfoot story. We also saw the premiere of the Texas Dogman Triangle, which was a great documentary about the Dogman, which is another cryptid like Bigfoot. We had a great time in Canton, Ohio, and we hope to return soon.
Thank you so much for coming to this meeting.
Oh my
yes,
gosh,
I
I'm
forgot
so
to thank you.
excited.
Oh yes, I forgot to thank
You
you.
that did that? No, I'm excited to be on here. Thank you
So,
for having me.
Yeah, so do you think you could tell a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Sure. I am a teacher. Just on my first day back at school today. But just for the teachers, so no kids yet. And I'm a writer, editor, and all that kind of stuff is what I do for work in Youngstown, Ohio. And I also am really into Bigfoot. So I am involved in a couple different groups with Bigfoot, and I also am writing a book. Just do all kinds of different things like that.
Like, have you seen Bigfoot?
I've seen something a couple different times. Yeah, I've seen
could
something.
you tell us about that?
Sure. So that's what got me interested in this, because I really, I'd heard about Bigfoot, and I did a report on the Loch Ness Monster when I was probably in 8th or 9th grade, I think it was. I thought that was kind of interesting. The teacher had us write about something we weren't sure if we believed in or not. And so I knew what Bigfoot was, because the book I had about the Loch Ness Monster had a section about Bigfoot too. So I know a little bit about it. I had seen shows that had In Search Of and stuff like that. So it wasn't like I was totally unfamiliar, but it wasn't really something I was pursuing or super interested in or anything like that. And then in the spring of 2012, so 11 years ago, right? I was in a car and we were going over a bridge here in Northeast Ohio, and I saw something out standing along the shoreline, and it was holding onto a tree. It was very wide, very broad, very tall. It moved, so I knew it wasn't, something fake or anything like that. All one color. Did not have a muzzle. Occasionally we do get black bear in the area, but not often at all. But I knew it wasn't a bear because of its stance and no muzzle. It was what got me started in this, but I always say I'm not sure what it was because I was in a moving car and it was too far away. But it sent me on this journey that I'm on now, looking for evidence, because it was just so strange. And after, at first I thought, well, it can't be Bigfoot, there's no such thing as that or anything. But it was so impressive to me what it looked like that I started looking into it and reading books, looking at other people's stories or encounters, going to hear people speak about Bigfoot and really getting interested in it. And ever since, I've just been fascinated. And what was really interesting to me is that after I started pursuing this and really digging into the topic, I found several other people who had seen something strange in that exact same area. So it wasn't just me. So then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there is something to this. So that was what started me being interested. And then 6 years later, about in 2018, I saw something else. I was at an expedition and something was walking down a power line cut. And myself and a friend of mine now, he saw this first he saw it through a FLIR camera, a forward-looking infrared camera. So he saw, a heat signature walking, gave it to me. I'm watching it and we're giving it back and forth to each other. This was in the middle of the night, so it was dark out. So all you can see is the heat coming off of it. And it seemed large in relation to the towers that it was next to, the power towers or whatever you want to call it. And it walked down and then it went right over the edge of an embankment that goes down to a small river that I don't think a person would be able to do that, especially not in the dark, because you'd have to turn around and kind of rappel down the side. Be very dangerous to do, but this thing just kind of went down there. We had a friend come who was in another group. They drove back to where we were. We were telling them on our walkies, like, we see something. What is this? And he is 6'9", so big guy. We had him go stand near where we first saw this, whatever it was, and it was really a lot bigger than he was, at least in our minds. They're not both standing there at the same time. So I'm a kind of a skeptical type of a person, where I want to make sure I'm not fooling myself or anybody else, but it was really impressively big. And our friend, he didn't look as big as it was at all. But again, I don't know if it was Bigfoot because you're just looking at a heat signature. But what was cool was that it was all one heat signature. Like when we were looking at a deer, we could tell it was a deer. Looking at people, you could see different heat, colors of heat, and degrees of heat coming off of them. Like you could see they had a coat on, and then their bare face would be hotter. And this was all just one color of something. So it was kind of cool. We didn't find any footprints or anything like that the next day because it was on really high weeds and grass that had, been stomped down kind of, but you couldn't find any kind of footprints. So it was something cool though, and it scared me.
How big do you think it was? Like in terms of like size and width, how tall do you think it was?
Well, good question. Myself and the other witness, the friend of ours who was putting on this expedition, he separated us right away. So I want you to talk to each other. I want you to tell me your story. I want you to tell this person your story, and I want you to write everything down. So that night I was supposed to leave, and instead of leaving, I stayed in the area, and I wrote everything I could remember down. I drew a picture. I'm not an artist, but I drew a picture of what it looked like to me. And I also drew a picture of my friend Kevin, the tall guy, standing there, and also my fiance Lester, because he went down to that area too, and we're like, get back up here. You look really small compared to this thing. So I did that, and then my friend Jessie did the same thing, and we didn't communicate for a few weeks, I think it was, and then finally we all got back together around a campfire. We told our stories and showed our pictures, and everything was like the same. It was really a cool experiment, if you want to call it that, and I think really important that we're not influencing each other as to what we saw or what happened. So the reason I'm telling you that is because the picture that we each drew it, I just can't believe it was this tall. Like, I feel like my guesstimate must have been a little off, but the guy who did the expedition, David Wickham, he kind of extrapolated, is that the right word, from the drawing to what it would be like in real life. And he said it was like between 8 and 10 feet tall. I forget the width. Now, I personally, I have a hard time thinking there's a 10-foot tall one out there, and maybe my proportions were off a little bit or a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was at least 8 foot tall, because it just seemed so much bigger than 6'9" Kevin. And it was very wide. I don't remember how wide he thought it might have been, but pretty wide. You think about how almost every group out there, every Native group, every First Nations group in Canada, almost everyone has some type of name for wild man, hairy man, whatever it is, and they say that they are real. And when you look over at the Western Lowland gorillas or Cross River gorillas, or certain orangutans and everything, which all were cryptids at one point, they were one time, and not even that long ago for some of them, they were thought to be mythological, where the tribes over there would say, whether you're looking in Africa or in Asia, they would say, yeah, we have these big, hairy, wild people in the woods. And Western scientists had never seen them, so they thought they were just, some type of a legend or a moral tale. And then we found out that they weren't, that they're real. And some of those have been found just this century, found good evidence of them. And even though I know it's very different to say there's a possible 8-foot tall, hairy, bipedal, whatever it is out there, and a smaller animal, we are finding new species all the time of different plants, animals, lots of things in the ocean. And so I just feel like, we had I think it's the Tule Indian tribe out in California, and I could be getting names wrong, I'm sorry, my brain, that had the rock paintings of their hairy man. And you have in British Columbia, you have their characterizations in dance and like almost totem poles and things with these ape-like creatures. You have that over here in North America, and it makes me wonder, are we doubting our own indigenous people, just like people doubted the indigenous people in Africa, Asia, when they were saying that they had these big, wild people out there? So I wonder about that, and I think it is absolutely fascinating to get into their stories, to talk to different tribal members. It's just my favorite part of all this. So there's that. I also think we have a wonderful collection of footprint evidence. You talk to Dr. Jeff Meldrum from the University of Idaho, and he is a professor of anatomy and anthropology, and he'll tell you that, without having that up-close good sighting himself, he really thinks these creatures exist just from the footprint evidence. And you have dermal ridges on those prints, that are like fingerprints, and they're different from each other, and you have movement shown in the casts that are made. So it's very, very intriguing because something's making those. And although I personally know some people who have hoaxed, and some that haven't even been caught yet, but some who have. And I know that there's a chance of, mistaken identity. Maybe sometimes people did see a black bear, or maybe somebody just saw some big dude out there in the woods and didn't get a good look. You have so many thousands of people who are saying, no, it wasn't a bear, no, it wasn't a person, and I saw a Bigfoot and I saw them, so I know what it was. You start talking to these people and hearing their stories, and I just don't think everybody's lying about it. And so one of the things that really affects me, like if I'm having one of those days where I'm not sure if I'm talking to a hunter, say, and emotion on his face, and you can tell that it really changed his life, it's just really hard to say, you're just making it up, or you don't know what you're talking about. Those are the days where I'm sure they exist.
Where's your favorite place to Sasquatch? Or look for Sasquatch, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. If time and distance and money is not an object, I just absolutely love being out in Washington State or Oregon, the Pacific Northwest. When you go out there and you look at the vast forest, it's not hard at all to imagine that there could be something out there. I was told that there are several small aircraft that have crashed out in the Pacific Northwest's forests that have never been found. And so if you're comparing aircraft to a possible living being that's a lot smaller and moves around, it's just not hard to believe that there could be something. But I also really, really love being in Pennsylvania. Ohio too, but I live right on the border of Pennsylvania, and I go out to the Allegheny National Forest a lot. And I get several eyewitness reports from the Allegheny National Forest. So that is where myself and a lot of my friends that live in the area will go camping and looking for evidence.
Okay, so one last question. Is there anything that to people who do not believe in Bigfoot or cryptids?
Anything I would say to them? Is that what you said? Well, I would say, first of all, they don't have to believe in it. Maybe it doesn't interest them. Maybe it scares them. Sometimes people don't look into things like me and dog. If it scares you, you're like, yeah, no, that's okay. So it's okay. They don't have to, but I would encourage people to look into it. It is absolutely fascinating. And I will say that every time I've invited a new scientist to a Project Zoo Book meeting, I would say, I don't remember any of them that didn't say that they had no idea that this was happening. They had no idea about how many people said they've seen one. They had no idea about the footprint evidence, or they had no idea about the audio that's been caught. And they've stuck around. And, most of our scientists are not eyewitnesses. We have some who are hopeful skeptics like myself. We have some who are even more skeptical, but that's okay. I always say it's good to be skeptical. You don't want to just believe anything. You want to look into it yourself. And then we have some who said they've seen one or more. So those are the people, like, if you have these people that they work with animals, they know a lot more than I do about what could be out there. And they're not only saying they're seeing one, but that they're saying that it definitely is a possibility that they exist. Like, far be it from me. I'm a teacher. I teach reading and English. I love science, but that's not what I do. I just, far be it from me to say, oh, you're wrong. Look into it. So if somebody was really interested, I would give them a lot of different books to read. Legend Meets Science is a really good one. Bigfoot Legend Meets Science. There's all kinds of good ones. Dr. John Bindernagel was a wonderful researcher and wildlife biologist from Canada and wrote some books. And there's just all kinds of information out there. And look into it, and you might be surprised.
We hope you learned something about Bigfoot in the first part of this documentary and are as intrigued as we are. Now that you know what Bigfoot is, it's time you learn how to find one. In part 2 of this documentary, you'll learn what it takes to find this elusive creature.
When searching for Bigfoot, it's good to have tools to help you. Thermal cameras, night vision, binoculars, pepper spray are all really helpful, and if you are searching in a group, a walkie-talkie comes in handy. It's like really hard to get back here. Honestly, it might not be such a bad home for a Squatch. I mean, if they're gonna be here, might as well live so far back in the woods and get scraped and cut. Whoop! Whoop! Ow. There's like these prickly bushes. I'm gonna try a whistle. You wanna try a call, Julia?
Let's see.
Whoop!
That was embarrassing.
Okay. I don't hear any.
Let's do a wood knock.
Let me try one.
Frey, wait. Let's see what you got. Ooh, that was kind of got a little shriek to it.
Okay, let's do a wood knock.
That does not look like it was good for a wood knock. I don't think that was a good wood knocking stick.
Okay, yeah, we need to find a bigger one.
We're here in Ohio, actually.
Monster Fest was yesterday. We decided to do a little squatching in a nearby little forest. It's daytime, obviously, so I highly doubt we're gonna see anything out here during the day. But more importantly, Monster Fest was amazing. I'm telling you, it was a very fun event. We met so many like nice people. Unfortunately, Julia couldn't make it to Monster Fest. I don't really have the right shoes on for this, but we're squatching. Mostly just looking for stuff. I don't think I'm gonna do too many calls, you know, but I just want to show you some beautiful northern Ohio. Ew, there's bugs on it. Beautiful northern Ohio scenery. See y'all back in Michigan. It looks like there could be a possible game trail back there. I don't know if the camera's really picking it up, but I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Frank, come on! Kind of like Ohio. For squatching, I mean. Kind of a little clearing off the main trail. There's Frank.
Alright, so we're at Hartwick Pines State Park in Michigan right now, and I'm going to start off the call. I'm going to start off by one call. Oh no, I don't.
That was...
Yeah. How's that?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Uh-oh. Okay, so unfortunately Julia couldn't make it to our night investigation, and so far we haven't had any solid activity, but it's been going pretty good. We're gonna continue on the investigation and keep y'all posted. Whoa! So far there's been not a lot. I keep hearing these distant howls, but it's just not been enough to, you know, like film. And like there's not enough like evidence that is Bigfoot. It could be just like a coyote, you know. So I don't know what that's counting as. It's actually a really warm night. I mean, it's snowy, but like the snow is like melting. I don't know how to describe it. No sign of Bigfoot. Surprising, no callbacks. We've done a few knocks, but there haven't been any knockbacks. I've even tried whistling at it, and, well, not anything particular, but just whistling, and nothing whistled back. Alright, keep y'all posted. I'm gonna do a louder sort of like screechier call. Like the past few ones have all been like, "Rrrr." This one's gonna be like more high pitched, I guess. I don't know. Alright, so we think we came across this like track right here. I don't know. There's no other ones. But like, yeah. I don't think it's a squatch, but might as well. Oh! Do another one. Nothing.
Echo echo base.
Okay, so again, it's been a few more minutes, not a few minutes. It's just been a while and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
It's a little disappointing because of the rich Sasquatch history around here. Maybe we're not out, I don't know. We're gonna keep filming and for a little bit while. Yeah, keep y'all posted. Okay, so we found these. Can't really tell how. Oh my god. You see, I'm sinking into the snow, so it's hard to tell. I'm thinking because I sank in, they wouldn't have been much. All that. Couldn't have been that heavy to make, but.
Yeah.
You know, gotta. Just some evidence. Maybe it's a human. They don't have any toe prints. It's just like an indent in the ground. It's kind of even hard to see, especially at night. So we're up here. We're gonna start heading back in just a little while. It's almost getting time to close, and we've just had no activity. It has been dead. So yeah. Okay, so I think we're actually gonna start heading back now. I think there's like a road up ahead. That's not very good. Look, it's this like big road. It goes on for a while. I think there's like a campground over there. It's a very clear night. That's like the moon. Okay, I'm gonna do a few whoops. I don't know. It's dead out here. We're heading back. I will say this. This snow is pretty hard to walk through. After Frank did his call, there was like this kind of howl. I don't know. It might not be a squatch. It might be just. It was pretty quiet and dim. It was pretty hard to hear. Look at the tree line. Bigfoots could be hiding back there, and they're not letting me find them. Come out. I don't hurt. Usually. I'm gonna do a whistle. Oh my god, I'm bad at whistling. That was really bad. Maybe we should stick to whoops. You know, there's not a lot of trees. I mean, the trees are more like back there and they're kind of out of sight. But that's where they're hiding out.
Thank you so much for watching Sasquatch Unlocked. We made this documentary to inform the world about Bigfoot.
Maybe you're inspired, but maybe you're not. But either way, you are now informed, and what you choose to do with the information is up to you. Thank you for watching Sasquatch Unlocked.
Is there no other such as I to touch, to love before I die?
I haven't seen Frank. Where did Frank go?
Did we leave him on the trail?
Uh-oh.
Where he searches.
Oh well. Dinner. Din.
This, of course, nobody knows.
Holy crap.
You can guess the reason.
There have been many sightings of Bigfoot.
Whether he's a beast or man.
From 4 to 8 feet tall. Oh, no, wait, cut. Start over again. Yeah, right, action. The type where a tree branch is pushed down by another tree branch. And, holy crap.
Why is there no other such as I to touch, to love before I die? Listen to my lonely cry.